Hello there everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me in my little crafty corner. So today we're going to be creating this card and we're going to be using some scraps of pattern paper to do so. So the pattern paper that I do have is the very pretty Summer Garden set from Altenew, and I'm just going to be using 2 of these sheets. And I am going to be using the Charmed stamp set. So this is a really beautiful image that I think would look great paper pieced. So I have this piece of scrap of pattern paper that has the beautiful pattern all the way around the outside, and I have the image. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little image and I'm going to take various parts of it, and I'm just going to stamp and ink these up onto various parts of the pattern paper. Now, as you can see, they do have some really gorgeous patterns here. So I'm just going to kind of move the image around onto the piece of scrap paper just to see where I want this image to be. Once I'm happy, I can ink this up and then stamp this down. I'm using my Obsidian ink from Altenew, but you can use whichever black ink that you do like and you find is your favorite. So once I have done the first one, I'm just going to do exactly the same for the others. Now I'm going to take this larger piece here. I am going to just trim around the little pieces. I do find this is easier because it stops me kind of stamping onto the rest of the paper that I may actually want to use. So if I snip it out, I can't accidentally stamp over something that I want to use later on. So I'm just going to keep wiggling this around until I'm happy with the placement. And I just love to see all of those patterns kind of pop through the little images. It's so pretty, and it's not the kind of look that I would be able to get on my own. So I've done 2 of the flowers, and I'm just going to move on to this little flower here that's kind of tucked in with the other flowers at the back. As you can see, I am only just stamping up the part that I need. You don't necessarily need to stamp the whole piece up if you don't want to use the whole piece in one go. But you can if you wanted to. If you just wanted to stamp the whole flower cluster on its own, you could definitely stamp that onto a piece of pattern paper and then cut that out just as one piece rather than all of these little pieces that I am doing here. So as these little tiny flowers that we have just on the ends are not really going to stamp anywhere else, I'm just going to stamp those onto the edge of the paper. And then once I've done that, I'm then going to take another piece of a pattern paper. This one has a beautiful watercolor look to it, kind of a tealy tone, and I thought this would work perfect for the leaves. Now we have kind of 2 clusters of the leaves, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp these in 2 separate places, so we kind of have the ombre look with the leaves. So the ones that were closer to the flowers are going to be darker than the ones that are away from the flowers. So it's just going to get lovely and ombre that way. So once I've done all of my stamping, I can then go ahead and fussy cut these images out. Now it may take a little while to do this, but I do think that it's worth it. And my favorite place to fussy cut is when I'm sat around watching TV. I always like to have something to do with my hands, so this is would be kind of a little perfect project if you do like to do that too. So what I'm doing with these images is I am cutting up to the black line. Now I don't normally do this, but as I am paper piecing, I do find that you need to, so you can't necessarily leave a little bit of a border around the outside edge like I normally would. So once I have done the flowers, I'm then going to move on to the leaves. And I'm just going to go around the whole piece. I'm kind of keeping them connected where I know that the flower is going to go over the top. Also, once I did cut these, I did find that there were a little bit of landlocked areas. So to get around this and not being able to use my scissors, I will use my craft knife to kind of get rid of those landlocked areas. So once I have all of my pieces all fussy cut out, I'm then going to create like a guide of where they need to go. So I'm going to stamp the stamp again, just directly onto some white cardstock. As I didn't want this to smudge, all I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly heat set this. Then once that's done, I'm going to fussy cut this whole image out. Now with this one, I am going to leave a little bit of a white border. It does save a lot of time while fussy cutting, but I do find that this is very therapeutic. So once I have that, I can then add my little pieces in. Now this is kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. So I'm just going to find out which pieces go where, and I'm going to add these into place. Now for these leaves and the flowers, for most of the flowers, I am going to stick these down just using some wet glue. The reason why I'm using some wet glue, because there are some little tiny pieces on here where the little stems are. And also I do want a little bit of wiggle room because I want to be able to get these pieces in exactly the right place within the outline that we do have on that stamped piece. That's why I am using some of the wet glue, just so I have a little bit more time just to wiggle things around. Now I did find that I hadn't kind of fussy cut this image out completely, so I did need to just take a little bit more off that one before I did glue that one down. So once I have this one down, I then wanted to add a little bit of dimension. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape behind this small flower and the largest flower here, and then again pop that into place so it fits perfectly. For a little more interest, I decided to add some enamel dots to the center of the flowers. Now I did have a choice of enamel dots, but I did decide to go for the warm and cozy. And I'm just going to be using the Sun Kiss. So that's the lightest one that we have on the sheet. And it's just such a really pretty, kind of peachy orange color. Really, really pretty, very, very pastel-y. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some of these dots into those flower centers just to add a little bit of interest, and also I don't have to color the flower centers then. It just makes them look very pretty, very, very quickly and easily. So once I have those done, we have our little image completely complete. So I just love how this turned out with all those various things going on in the flowers. I'm then going to take another piece of pattern paper. Again, this is from the Summer Garden paper pack, and I'm just going to trim this down to 3 inches, and I'm just going to add this onto a card base. So my card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's just a normal white card base. I'm just going to add this down nice and flat using some glue tape. Once I've done that, I can get rid of any overhanging pieces from behind. Once that's done, you can play around with how you want your image to kind of sit on your card. Once you're happy with that, just add a little bit of foam tape again for a little bit more added dimension, a little bit more interest as well. Once I've done that, before I stick this down, I'm then going to take one of the sentiments from the Charmed stamp set, and I think this one is going to sit perfectly just in that space that I have on the left corner. I'm going to ink this up using some of my Obsidian ink, move my little piece out of the way so I don't add any ink to that. And then once that's nicely stamped, I can then remove the backing of this piece and then pop it into place. And here is the card complete. I do have to say, I really do love how this card turned out. I love all the kind of interest that those pattern papers give to the flowers that I wouldn't be able to have created on my own. And I just love how it looks. I really am happy with it. So I really do hope that you like this card as well, and that you've enjoyed the video too. If you do create a card that was inspired by this, it'd be great if you do share, because I'd love to see. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, crafty friend. Lydia here. Just popping in to say that you can get your daily dose of crafting tips, techniques, and tutorials just like this by subscribing to the Altenew YouTube channel. All you need to do is click on that little bell up there and you will never miss a video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.